The last one you sang. What a friend we have in Jesus. How many of you worry about everything every day? Huh? Well, Linda had a real big blessing this last week, some good news. And she was really happy about that, gave us a call on the telephone. And what you do is, if you're doing what the Lord wants you to do in your life, you just throw yourself in His hands and say, here I am, take care of me. It's your job now. It's your job. Needless that we worry about it. If you're going to die, if you're going to get cancer, all this kind of stuff, well, that's what needed to happen anyway. I guess it's the best for you. Look back at it through life and everything else. I guess that was good for me. The Lord wouldn't let it happen. Brother Art Charez, brother, thank you. Well, you've been here all these years too, haven't you? All 12 years at least, maybe longer than that. Probably longer, haven't you? 15? Something like that. Would you lead us in prayer today, brother?
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you, dear God, for being so gracious to us. Thank you for the presence of the Holy Spirit who does a tremendous job in convicting us and guiding us and helping us when we're weak and we struggle. We pray, Father, to bring us here, Phillips. We pray the Holy Spirit will speak to us and present your word to each and every one of us. We just pray that we'll take your word, Father, apply it in our hearts and our minds. So most of all, take it with us tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. We have so many loved ones out there, dear God, that don't know you, that are perishing, leaving this world not knowing you. It is our job. You command us, dear God, to go out there and present your word to a lost and dying world. I just pray, Father, put the fire on each and every one of us. We ask in your Son's name, in Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Well, we're in Matthew. Katamathion. Where did we finish last week? 15 and what? Anybody know? Matthew, the 15th chapter. Katamathion. The Gospel according to Matthew. There are some really beautiful things in the Gospels, well, the whole Bible, when you look at it from the original language. And I thought that I would just go right along, just read it out of Greek, if that's all right with you. Sometimes you want me to do that anyway. Remember when we started doing the book of Revelation here a 3 years ago, and they said, just read it out of Greek. I think it was Linda that did that, wasn't it, Linda? Yeah, you said, read it out of Greek. Let's see what it sounds like in Greek. Well, I'm not going to read the Greek to you, except I might tell you a word every now and then. But we're in Matthew, the 15th chapter. And verse 21. Verse 21. 15 and verse 21. Now we have a Canaanite woman. What does Canaan mean? Actually, you pronounce that Canaan. It's not, we kind of mess it up in English. It's Canaan. Canaan. Can you say Canaan? That's how you say it in Hebrew, Canaan. Canaan means what? Comes from Cain. What is Cain? Genesis 4 and 1. Genesis 4 and 1. Turn to Genesis 4 and verse 1. Bereshith. Genesis 4 and verse 1. Let's look at that. Genesis 4 and verse 1. Some of you know what that says in Hebrew because you took the Hebrew class. All right. Anna, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, can you read that real loud now?
Adam had sexual relations with his wife Eve, and she became pregnant. When she gave birth to Cain, she said, with the Lord's help, I have produced a man.
All right. Now in Hebrew, it says what? In Hebrew. Brother Bill, have you got that in your Sacred Name Bible? Genesis 4 and 1. Yes, sirree, you've got it. All right. Now this here is really good. The first part of that verse was really good. What translation do you have? Yeah.
New Living.
New Living, that's good. All right. And Joanne's got that also over there. Brother Bill, 4 and verse 1 now.
Now the man, having come to know Eve, his wife, she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man, even Jehovah.
I have gotten a man, even Jehovah. The word Cain means gotten. Cain means gotten. It means possession or gotten. So this is a possession land. By the way, this is the land that Israel is going to possess. It was a prophetic word, okay? Now let's go back and look at this woman. We have the land where she lives. She's going to live in the land of Canaan. By the way, this land is going to be taken away from her people and given from the Canaanites and given into the Shemites. All right? Abraham's children are going to own this land one of these days. All right? Verse number 21. And I'm going to just translate this to you as it comes out of the Greek. You might want to change a little something here and there. And having gone forth from there, the Jesus departed unto parts of Tyre and Sidon. Remember Tyre and Sidon? Remember that was in the Old Testament. You know, we had in Ezekiel, the 28th chapter, we have a problem there with Tyre and Sidon. God prophesied against them. Well, this is the area where he went. Remember the whole place about, how about Tyre? Tyre and Sidon. Tyre and Sidon, that's basically over there around in the area where Nineveh was, remember? In that area. These are basically the Syrians. The Assyrians. And parts of Tyre and Sidon, and behold, a Canaanite woman. Actually, it says, it just says Canaanite, but it's in feminine gender, so we know it's a woman. From the borders, those having come forth, she kept on crying out, saying, have mercy upon me. This word have mercy there means be compassionate. Open your heart. It's eleos in Greek. Open your heart to me. Please open your heart to me. Lord, let's see what she calls him. She calls him Kyrie. Now in Greek, that's equivalent to what? In the Old Testament. Kyrie. Huh? Adonai or Jehovah. So she knows who Jesus is. This woman, she may be among non-believers, but this woman accepts Jesus Christ better than the Jews do. The Jews have kept on rejecting Jesus. She said, Lord, Son of David, heir of David. Not just son there, it's huios. What does huios mean? You are the heir. You are the one that's supposed to be on the throne. So I know that you're the king, the real bona fide king of Israel. This woman's got, already, when she opens her mouth, it's full of what? Faith and belief. She's full of faith. The daughter of me is badly demon-possessed. But he didn't answer her a single solitary word. He did not answer one word to her. He ignored her. And having approached the disciples of him, she kept on begging him, saying, or they kept on begging him, saying, the disciples kept on begging him, saying, dismiss her. Get her out of here. Because she keeps on crying behind us. But he, having answered, said to her, not I was sent except to the sheep of the lost house of Israel. I've only been sent to the sheep of the lost house of Israel. The lost sheep of the house of Israel. The lost sheep. The ones who were wandering out there. He was picking up a few of them, wasn't he? Now and then. He was picking up a few of those lost sheep. Who were they? Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Nathaniel, Peter. These heard him. All right. But she, having come, she fell down and kept on worshiping him. She was worshiping him. The Sadducees and the scribes and the Pharisees didn't worship him, did they? This woman is a lost woman from the lost people. Out there, heathen, from heathen people. But something's different about her than even those among Israel. She's been saved sometime or another. She knows the Lord. She's asked the Lord into her heart. And she has accepted Him. And everything that comes out of her mouth is belief. Belief. She kept on worshiping, saying, Lord, rush to me with mercy. Rush to me with mercy is what it says. Joanne, you over there? What's it say in verse number 26? No, 25. 25. Matthew 15 and verse 25. Matthew 15. Well, see, that girl's fast. She's been in that Bible before. You taught her how to do that, Bill? All right. 15.
15:25.
Yes.
She came and worshiped Him and pleaded Him for help.
All right. Rush to me with mercy. That's what it says. Boethe. Rush to me with mercy. But he answered and said, not it is good to take the bread, the artos, the bread, from the children, the technos, the born sons. It's not right. She addressed Jesus as the huios of David. Meant what? Remember what that meant? That means the heir. Here we have the heir. He's supposed to be on the throne. And now she says, it's not right for me to take bread from the born sons, just diverse, and throw it to the dogs. He calls her a dog. Jesus called her a dog. That's what the Jews called the Gentiles, was dogs. He can't, no matter what he says to this woman, he can't insult her. And she doesn't take it wrong. Has anyone, Brother Bill, this is confidential now. Have you ever said something and Joanne took it wrong? That ever happen? Brother Rex, did it ever happen in your life? Never. Never happened in your life. All right. Brother Art, did it ever happen to you, brother? No. David, did it ever happen to you in your life? How about the other David? Did that ever happen to any of you guys? Brother Abe, you ever get in trouble because somebody misunderstood what you said or took it wrong? I'm going to tell you something. Jesus is intentionally insulting this woman. And she will not. She honors him so highly. He calls her a dog. You're a dog. I'm not going, I've only come to the lost sheep of Israel. Every time he says something, it's an insult. Look at it. Jesus was tough. I'm going to tell you something. When I got saved, I was pretty much of a rounder when I wasn't saved. I was a rounder. I would fight a buzzsaw. It didn't matter. I'd fight a football field of buzzsaws. Didn't matter. One time I went out there and they beat my kids up and I jumped on a whole Hispanic gang and captured them all and arrested them. I got saved and my friend Gary Harwell said to me, and he said, well, I'd like to come up and slap you upside the head and see if you'll turn the other cheek. I said, you slap me upside the head and I'll knock you down. Jesus wasn't the little puny guy that so many people. He was tough. I'm going to tell you something. His words were fire sometimes. And here he's doing this, and he's intentionally insulting this woman. Why did he intentionally insult this woman? For us. For you. And for me. He wanted to teach us a lesson. Have you ever got out there and you say, oh, Lord, why me? What are you doing? What are you doing to me? Lord, what are you letting all this stuff happen to me for? Had to be good for us, I guess. Remember what the song that Brother Abe sang this morning? What a friend we have in Jesus. He is our friend. If you're his friend. One of my teachers said one time, God reacts to man as man reacts to God. God reacts to man as man reacts to God. And here we see this in this verse. The only reason why this is in the Bible, the Lord could have saved this woman and healed this girl and it never been written down. But it's written down for you. For us, for our faith. All right, for ours. When we want to blame something on the Lord, you ever get mad at the Lord because all these bad things happened to your life? This woman didn't get mad at the Lord, and he's personally, directly insulting her. You dog. Anybody called you a dog lately? The Lord called this woman a dog. And the word was, it was a racial slur. Let's see what she said. It is not good to take the bread of the born live births and throw it to the dogs. And then she says, Master, Lord, Jehovah, Adonai. But even the puppies eat from the crumbs, the ones falling from the table of the master. Boy, what a statement of faith. Even the masters let the little puppies come in the house, and the crumbs, the fling. You know what the fling is? You ever get something in your food that wasn't worth eating? So you toss it. That's what you call the garbage. And they used to feed the garbage from the table to the puppies running in the yard. To the puppies. But even the crumbs falling from the table of the masters, they feed the little puppies. Now let's see what Jesus says now. He quit insulting her, Brother Bill. He doesn't insult her anymore. Then answering, having answered to Jesus, he said to her, an onomatopoeic word. What do you mean by onomatopoeic? What kind of word is that? You ever smash your finger? Yeah. Oh! That's an onomatopoeic word, and that's the word that he used here. It's just like this. It works out the same in English as it does in Greek. That's it. All right there. How do you pronounce that? Oh! Same thing as in English. That's an onomatopoeic word, okay? Same word. Matthew 15 and verse number 27. Verse 28. And then having answered, the Jesus said to her, O Gene, O woman, great is your faith. Let it become to you whatever you wish. Whatever you may wish. He answered all of her prayers. He answered them all. First of all, she was born again. She was saved. She was saved before she ever talked to him the first time. She addressed him as Master, the legal heir to the throne of Israel. All right, let's go on a little bit further. Verse number 29, that is. And having removed from there to Jesus, he came by the Sea of Galilee. And having gone up into a mountain, he sat down there. And having approached him, the okloi. All right, let's look at that word now. Oklos. All right, that means how many people? All you scholars. What's an oklos? 5,000 people. All right, 5,000. 5,000 people. All right. Now an okloi, that's plural. So 5,000 people is oklos. Here we have okloi. How many people is this that approached Jesus? First of all, we're in Galilee. Galilee means what? Circle. How many cities, major cities, are around Galilee? 9. How many people are in each one of those cities? 15,000. 9 times 15,000. And these people and these cities are just pouring out to Jesus. Just pouring out to him. All right? We've got 15 or 20,000, 30,000 people here now. All right? Lots of them. The cities have poured out to him. Sea of Galilee, going up the mountain, he sat there, and approached him crowds. 15 or 20,000 people, many Many of these people having with themselves lame. How many of you are lame? You know anybody's lame? I'm lame. I can tell you. Sometimes I'm more lame than others. Lame people. Lame people. Brother Farrar, Dr. Carl E. Farrell, one of my teachers, when he was 5 years old, he got muscular dystrophy. His legs were so crooked, he said you could run a horse through them and never touch either side. They took him and put him in the Shriners Hospital, and they straightened his legs out and where he could stand. And I was his student for many years at CMBI. Straightened his legs. You know, if Jesus had been there, if he'd have been one of these people, they brought people to him like that. People that had all kinds of diseases. They were lame. And maimed. What's lame? How about maimed? I'm maimed also, boy. I mean, I'm lame and maimed. How about maimed? What do you do when you're maimed? Huh? Huh? What's maimed to me? What? Disabled.
Broken arm, maimed.
All right. Your arm was cut off. Your leg's been crushed. Back then they didn't have orthopedic surgeons. Okay? Your leg's been crushed and you never can stand on it again. Your back's been broken and you're paralyzed from the waist down. Maybe some of them were even quadriplegic. Their neck had been broken. These are the names. That's what you call maim. Their hands were crushed. Feet crushed. That's what maimed means. Kulos. And blind. Tiflos. Blind. Now, who was the only person that would ever heal a blind person in the Bible? Only the Messiah would heal the blind. That was something that was set aside for only the Messiah. That's what you call a specific messianic credential. The blind. All right? And they basically they threw them at the feet of him. They threw them at his feet. And he healed them. And the crowd marveled, seeing people that couldn't speak speaking, people that had not talked, people that had strokes. When you have a stroke, you can't talk any longer. I had a stroke teaching this class. The Lord was kind to me. Brother Bill, that was the day you said is the only time that you could ever stay with me. Remember that? One woman walked into my class that day. I didn't know about it until about 2 months ago. My wife said the class was pretty full. It was over there in the children's building. And I was up there and I had this stroke while I was teaching. I guess I was talking real slurred and everything else. And she came in. She went by my wife over there and she said, I heard he was a Greek and Hebrew scholar. He can't even speak English. And she left, never came back. People that can't speak anymore because of strokes. They had brought people that had strokes. Maybe they had throat cancer and had eaten up their vocal cords or whatever. Maybe some of them had their tongues cut out. You know, they did that back then. They cut their tongues out. Dumb people keep on speaking. And maimed people had become whole. And lame were walking. Maimed and lame. Lame people are usually from diseases. The maim was some kind of accident caused that. All right? Walking around all over the place. Just walking around, probably leaping and jumping, playing leapfrog. Can you imagine maybe not able to walk all your life and all of a sudden instantly you can walk? You're not just going to walk, are you? You're going to be hopping around like a frog. Jumping. I have got a toad at home on welfare. On my place. He's on welfare. Now I've got one out there that, how many have been there? Brother Art, you've been out there. David's been out there. Quite a few have been out there on the farm. Well, out behind our back door, we have a little barrels out in the back, and we have plants in them. Now, you know, what kind of plants you have in there now? All kinds of vegetables, anyway. And down below, those frogs live. I got one frog out there that's got one front leg cut off. He's maimed. And I'll go out there with a BB gun and shoot wasps, and they'll fall down, and out there will jump. And David, were you out there that day that the frogs were coming out? Who in the world was that? What was Harry? Anyway, I was shooting these. This little frog would go out there and he'd grab him a wasp. And I said, how in the world is this frog eating these wasps? They have stingers and biters on both ends, you know. But he was eating them. Well, he's a pretty good fellow. But out there in the garage, I've got another one on welfare. How many of you know what a milk carton crate looks like? They put 4 or 5 milk cartons in. Well, we got 2 or 3 of those out there. And out in the shop, I've got a crate turned upside down with a crock bowl about this big around and about that tall in it. And I've gone out there several times, and I see this frog climbing up the side of the crate. This is a toad now. He climbs up in there, and he climbs over there, and then he hops and gets in the bowl where I feed the cats and eats the cat food. And I'll go out there, and he's just like this. And I'll take him down. I know one thing, he's not going to crawl back up this day. So I'll put him back down on the floor, and he'll crawl off to his little hole. He's not eating flies or bugs or whatever. He's eating the cat's food. I don't guess it's hurting him. Anyway. Maimed. One little maimed one. Let's go on a little bit further. The maimed are walking and seeing, and they are glorifying the God of Israel. Who is the God of Israel, by the way? He's walking among them right there, isn't he? They're glorifying the God of Israel. The God of Israel is walking among them. God in flesh, okay? God in flesh. And the Jesus calling forth the disciples, mathetes. What's mathetes mean? Huh? Mathetes. Mathetes. What are the mathetes? Huh? The habitual learners. These are the close disciples of him. These are the close disciples, the close church members, the apostles of him. And he said to them, I am filled with tenderness. My bowels just yearn for these people. They're glorifying God. He had just seen this Syrophoenician, or this Canaanite woman. She had portrayed faith like no one. He tried to insult her, and she wouldn't be insulted. All she did was praise God and glorify him. He said, I am filled with tenderness upon the crowd. And he said, it's been 3 days, and they just keep on coming to me. They have remained with me right at my feet for 3 days. And they don't have anything to eat. And to dismiss them without food, he said, I don't wish to do that, because they might fall and faint by the way. And they said to him, the disciples, we're out in this desert. Are we going to get any food to feed them? These people are really hard-headed and dumb, aren't they? He just fed, not too long ago, he fed 5,000. All right. Now here we've got 4,000 men left that won't go away. 4,000 men, and how many women? If you got one man, how many women do you have? And children. Remember, the women and the children ate separately. We have a crowd of women over here and children. We have a crowd of men over here. The men didn't associate with the women in public. All right? And he said to them, how many loaves of bread do you have? And they said 7. And a few fish. And having directed the crowd to lay up, that's what it is, to lay up. Now it says to what? What's it say in your translation there, Dr. John?
I don't know where we're at.
Oh, Matthew 15 and verse 34. Oh, 35. 36.
34, 35, 36.
Yes, 36.
And he took the 7 loaves of fish and gave thanks, and broke them and gave them to his disciples, and the disciples gave to the multitude.
Mm-hmm.
So they all ate and were filled.
All right. So the disciples, and they kept on eating, it says there in verse 37, and they kept on eating, and they were all kept on being satisfied. They filled up like that frog out there in the bowl. when he was completely full, I thought he was going to pop. I'd take him out gently and put him on the ground, and I mean he would be dragging, his feet would be going like this because they wouldn't hardly reach the ground, just scooting. That's the way they were. They kept on. These people were hungry. And there's free food. You ever go to Kmart or go to Costco and Sam's Club? They got all these free things out there. I remember one time the Tip Top Market. How many of you know what? This is too long. Brother Rex, thank you very much. I've got one old fellow in the... Do you know where the Tip Top Market was, Brother David? No. Right out there on the Edison Highway on the Strip. That's where all the Okies showed up, wasn't it, Brother Rex? Well, I went down there one time, and we were poor. Gary Harwell said, hey, he said, they're giving away free 7-Up and ice cream in it down there at Tip Top Market. So we traipsed down there, the Tip Top Market. We went down there, and they gave us one of these throwaway cups with 7-Up in it with a vanilla ice cream in it. Boy, I ate that, because I very seldom ever taste ice cream and not any soda pop. I don't know what it was doing to my system since I hadn't had any sugar in all my life. But I drank that, and we were hanging around out there, and they said, come over here, boy, you want some more of that? I think I went 20 times. I felt like that frog. I couldn't hardly walk home. Tanked up. That's the way these people, they tanked up. They tanked up. Have you ever eaten till you hurt? That's what it says here. They kept on eating, in perfect tense. They kept on eating, they kept on eating, and they kept on being satisfied. They would eat until they couldn't eat anymore, and they'd sit around and give me some more. That's what it says in Greek. That's what they were doing. They kept on being, they ate until they were full, and then they ate some more until they were full, and then they ate some more until they were full, and there was still a whole lot left over. And how many were there? 4,000 men. 4,000 men sitting in one place, and all those women and children the other. So probably there was at least 4,000 men and 10,000, 12,000 women and children. That's a lot of people. And he sent the multitude away, having dismissed the crowds. He embarked in a boat and came to the borders of Magadan. Now let's see what happens in the 16th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew. A whole different story. Now we have the politicians. Remember the politicians? Who were the politicians in Jesus' time? You had the Pharisees that were running the show in every synagogue. You had the scribes, which were the what, Brother Bill? Scribes. The county clerks, the ones that recorded everything in every synagogue. They had a county clerk, which was a scribe. And then we have the Sadducees, the Sadducees, as my friend used to call them, the Sadducees. What were the Sadducees? These were the descendants of Zadok the priest in Solomon's time, all right? But they didn't believe in the resurrection. But these were all powerful people. We had priests around here. We have all of the political upper echelon of Israel now. Let's see how they accept Jesus. The crowd. Here we have this dog, this Canaan, the Canaanite dog woman. And she accepted him. She called him what? Jehovah, Master, Adonai. And what else? You are the heir of David. You're supposed to be on the throne of David. She accepted him. And here she was a Canaanite. Now let's see what the political gutter snipes, the worms. One time, Crazy Horse. He was my relative, a long time ago. He's of the Teton Lakotas, and my father was Lakota. Anyway, some of these legends and stories you don't know about because these are handed down through the family. Most of you know that Custer never made it to Custer's last stand. Custer didn't get there. He got killed by a little boy named White Bull when he started crossing to go into the village. They killed that boy, that little 12-year-old boy killed Custer, and they threw him on his horse, and they took him up to Custer's last stand. He didn't make it. Custer was never alive at the last stand. Well, anyway, Crazy Horse was a preacher. He was a preacher. He was a spiritual leader, and so was Sitting Bull. Both of those were spiritual leaders. They fought when they needed to. But Crazy Horse was very special. He was a shirt man. A shirt man. A shirt man, the women of the tribe, if there was somebody special, outstanding in that tribe, that was outstanding, every woman in the tribe would make him a shirt. And they would tie a lock of their hair as fringe all around that shirt. All around the shirt. And they would put something special. Amulets and different things, something that went with him. Because he represented the epitome of the greatest man in the tribe. He was a spiritual leader. He was somebody that had given everything he had to the poor. He was a chief, but he didn't ask to be. One time they ordered Sitting Bull, or not Sitting Bull, but Crazy Horse, this shirt man shirt. And when they moved the tribe from camp to camp, he would ride out in front with that shirt man shirt on. No other tribe, I don't care if it was the worst enemy they had, if they saw a shirt man with a shirt on, they didn't touch him. Now, when the white people saw those shirts, they called them scalp shirts. That guy's wearing all these scalps. He scalped all these people. That wasn't a scalp shirt. That's a shirt man shirt. All of those locks of hair are from women that helped make that shirt, and they honored him with their lives and their prayers. One time, Crazy Bull did something really bad. He was in love with this girl, and he courted her, and her father accepted his advances to her as a future husband, as a prospective husband. And then their tribes got in trouble with another tribe, and this man that took this daughter of his that was supposed to be Crazy Horse's wife, which he loved. He played the flute for her. He'd sat around with his blanket over her and everything. They had courted for no telling how long. She took this girl and gave her to another man for a political favor. She was beautiful. Crazy Horse always put everybody ahead of what he wanted. But this time, he went and stole that girl and took off with her. They took his shirt away from him. He no longer loved the tribe more than he did himself. Crazy Horse gave himself another name after that. That name was Worm. The name for snake was like this, but worm was like this, because he thought he was low. Here we have Jesus going to the lowest group. They are the political upper echelons. It's like Martin Luther said one time, when he was still a Catholic priest, he went to Rome, to the Vatican. He said, the closer to Rome I got, the closer to hell I was in. The bottomless pits, the dregs of hell. He said it was ungodly bunch of people. Ungodly. The closer I got to Rome, the closer to the Vatican I got, the worse it stunk. Morally. Those people were corrupt and immoral. Corrupt and immoral. Well, Crazy Horse called himself a worm because he had betrayed his people. He had a scar on his face where the guy came that the guy had given it to her. He shot Crazy Horse in the face and took his girl back. Crazy Horse mourned the rest of his life over that woman. He loved her. But he went back to this tribe and went on and did what he needed to do. He did not prosecute. He did not go try to make any reparations or insult the man or try to kill him or any revenge at all. He just went on. And having approached the Pharisees. Who are these Pharisees? What does the word Pharisee mean? That comes from a Persian word which means to separate. These were the separated. These were the upper echelon. These are the people, by the way, that are the fathers of modern Judaism. They had the Mishnah and the Talmud. That's the writings. That's the commentary on the 5 books of Moses. Having approached the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And what are they doing to Jesus? What does this say in different translations? What's it say in your translation there? What are they saying to him there, brother? Does it say tempting him? What's it say there, Brother John?
Then the Pharisees came testing him.
Testing him. All right. What do you have over there?
One day the Pharisees and Sadducees came to test Jesus' claims by asking him
All right. To test his claims. All right. And what else do you have? Anybody else have anything? Verse number 16 and verse 1. Tempting. All right. What do you have there, Brother Bill?
The Pharisees and Sadducees coming near, putting him to the test.
Putting him to the test.
Questioned him a sign out of heaven.
Okay, let's go on right there. What do you have?
The Pharisees and the Sadducees came up testing him.
Testing him. You know what the word is? Insulting him. They're insulting him. They're insulting the King of Israel, the Messiah. Insulting him, and they kept on interrogating him. That's the word, interrogate. What do you do when you interrogate somebody? Back in the old days, you know, you had the FBI, and you had a guy underneath the hot lights, and they're slapping him and throwing water in his face and blowing smoke from their cigarettes in his eyes, and he's sitting there choking and going on. This is the term, interrogating. Torturing him. Insulting him. And then a sign, a semio. We got the word sign right out of that. Out of the heaven. We want a sign out of heaven. Point out to us. Take a sign, do some great sign out of heaven. We want a sign out of heaven. We don't want to see you. What did the Old Testament say the Messiah would do? He would heal the sick. He would do what else? Raise the dead. Did he? He'd done all these things. But only the Messiah would heal the blind, that he had healed the blind. Now, how many signs out of heaven do you need? Now, if I'd have been there, being the ornery, half-wild Indian that I am, I'd have been Jesus. I'd have given them a sign out of heaven. I'd have struck that high priest with lightning a few times to just burn him up a little, get him prepared for the everlasting. Okay. He could have, couldn't he? He could have done that. All right, verse number 2. They wanted a sign out of heaven. And he answered and said unto them, when it is evening, you say what? It will be fair tomorrow, for the sky is red. He said, you know how to tell weather? All right. At verse number 3, and in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and overcast. Oh, ye hypocrites. Hypocrites, he called them. Hypocrites. 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 You know, in the land today, we have a worldly church, don't we? In a churchly world. Figure that one out. We have a worldly church. And we have a churchly world. Everybody wants a little religion, don't they? The Pharisees had a lot of religion. The Sadducees had a little religion. That had a little religion that wasn't taking them anywhere. They had a little religion. A worldly church has a little religion. And a churchly world has a little religion. But it gets them nowhere. They're lost, lost, lost. Lost, lost, lost. Oh, you hypocrites, you actors. You can discern the face of the sky, but you can't discern the signs of the times. You can't discern the signs of the times. The signs of the seasons is what he actually says, the kairos, the seasons. Was it time for the Messiah to come? according to Daniel? Was a Messiah supposed to be born according to the Magi that came out of the east? Remember? The Magi came. There were, how many of them? Who knows? There were 3 gifts. Some people say there were 100 of them. And they brought 3 precious gifts. They'd all kicked in together, and they came. Maybe there was 100. Maybe there was 3. Maybe there was 5. Maybe there was 1. With a bunch of people following him. You can't discern the seasons. You are not able to. We looked at that word dinaste last Wednesday night in our Greek class. That means they were not able to. They were not able. Why can't you discern? Why couldn't they discern who Jesus was? Huh? Their hearts, their eyes were blind and their ears were deaf because they wanted to. God reacts to man as man reacts to God. God reacts to man as man reacts to God. And these people, what? They would not hear. They were stiff-necked. They were habitual unbelievers. They didn't want to believe. He said a generation, a genia. That's what he called them, a genia ponera. A genia, a generation evil, twisted. That's what the word ponera means, twisted. Twisted. Perverted. And adulterous. Morally unfaithful. Israel always had a problem with idolatry, didn't they? They went down into Egypt for 400 years. You know, that was the sons of Jacob, the sons of Israel went down there, and there was a whole bunch of them, about a million plus came out of Egypt. And they got out of Egypt, but the Lord, it took him a long time to get Egypt out of them, didn't it? They liked the food in Egypt. They liked the gods of Egypt. They liked the women of Egypt. Just think about this for a while. A lot of them took Egyptian wives with them, with all their little gods, out there in the wilderness. There were only 2 men that were worthy. Only 2 men were worthy to go into the promised land. Who were they? And we said, what? Who were the only 2 men out of all the millions, the hundreds of thousands that came out of Egypt? Who were the only 2 that were worthy? What? Joshua and Caleb. All right? And they went in there. The rest of them went in there. Remember when they went in there and they saw these Nephilim, these great big tall people? And he said, man, those people are big. Let us slide. We don't want to go in there. And Joshua and Caleb says, we want the place where the giants are. We will whip the giants because God's on our side. If you got God, what was that song you sang about this morning, brother? What a friend we have in Jesus. When you got Jesus on your side, you got it made.
That's what they threw the red scarf at the window. They don't destroy that part. The lady is.
Oh, that was in Jericho. Yeah. That's when the walls of Jericho fell down. All right. Now I forgot where I was. That machine got me off track. An adulteress, a morally unfaithful. Always God had trouble with Israel being morally unfaithful to him. He finally sent them off down into Babylon, in the Babylonian captivity, remember? Remember, they had a king Ahab, and what was that wonderful woman's name? And that meant pristine and pure and virginious. What was her name? What would you not name your daughter today? Jezebel. Her name meant purity. She wasn't pure by any means. Jezebel's a good name. But we relate that to Jezebel. The Bible, nobody would call their daughter pure. Jezebel is like the word for Cathari in Greek, which is named Kathy, pure one. All right? Cathari. A morally corrupt, morally unfaithful, a evil and twisted and morally unfaithful generation seeks signs, and not it shall be given to her except the sign of Jonah. having left them, he went away. The sign of Jonah. What's the sign of Jonah? We're in the 16th chapter. This Matthew in the 16th chapter is loaded with nuggets and jewels and treasures. I'm telling you. What was the sign of Jonah?
3 days.
3 days? What happened with Jonah? Jonah went and preached to Nineveh. He wanted to go preach to Nineveh so bad, he said, Lord, send me. Is that the story? Is that not the same story you read in the Bible? Oh, all right. That's what you call a hyperbole and exaggeration. That's just downright lie, people. Let's get around it. Jonah did not want to go to Nineveh, because Nineveh was a people that invented crucifixion. They were impaling people at that time. Remember Haman and Mordecai and all of that business? This is who they were. All right. These were rough people. And God prophesied in His Word that He was going to use Nineveh to correct, to chastise Israel. And so Jonah was a religious bigot. That's what he was. He was a religious bigot. He was extremely prejudiced. And he didn't want these people to be saved. And God said, all over there, I want you to go and preach to them. So what did he do? He jumped the boat. And he got them in trouble. Just think about it. His first mission trip. I was a missionary in Nevada. By the way, there's going to be 50 sermons that I preached in Nevada on hard ground, people. You can see, that was a wrestling match. Every class was. Every sermon I preached up there was like, all right. You'll get to hear that. Well, no, Jonah didn't have that kind of a wrestling match when he preached. Have you ever got up and tried to preach and people arguing with you? Telling you you're wrong? People don't even know how to read and write, telling you you're wrong? Boy, it was something else. Go listen for yourself. You'll see what I'm talking about. Jonah went over there and he got on the boat. Well, God sent a storm. By the way, God predestined a boat with a crew on there that was predestined and put Jonah on that boat, allowed him to go. He thought he was getting on the boat of his own will. God was fooling him. He got on the boat and got out there, and God foreordained the storm. And the storm hit. And all the people on the ship were afraid but Jonah. And Jonah went down in the bottom of the boat and just laid down once asleep. And they were up there and said, what in the world is going on, man? We're going to die. And Jonah down there, he said, I don't care where I die. I don't want to go to Nineveh. I ain't going. Well, they went down and said, who are you? What's going on here? Who is your God? And he said, Jehovah, the God of Israel. What's going on here? And he says, my fault. He said, God sent this storm. He said, well, what are we going to do? What can we do? He said, throw me overboard. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. We want to insult your God. Your God will get mad at us. Well, he said, you got to throw me overboard. So they threw him overboard. And you know what happened? Everybody on the boat got saved. Did you know that? They all made sacrifices to Jehovah after that. They said, this guy was really serving the real God. So they got saved. Jonah got swallowed by a big old fish. He died. The fish ate him. Okay? Jonah is fish food. And God, somehow or another, used that ship to take him, that boat as a ship, to take him over there where he's supposed to go. And by the way, Nineveh, you know what their chief god was? Huh? Dagon, the fish god. So I don't know how that fish got over there. I don't know whether he swam all the way around the Persian Gulf and came up there over to Nineveh and spit him out up there by Nineveh. What happened? Maybe God sent him by airplane. Fish. But he spit him out over there, and he hit the ground preaching. And preaching. Can you imagine what he looked like? He was dead. He said that he cried from Sheol. Where is Sheol? That was Hades. That's the paradise and hell where it was together. Remember at that time, before Jesus' time, hell and paradise were like one great big gulf with a gulf between. Here's the saved people over here and lost people over here. He got to go in the saved place. But he said, Lord, if you'll let me go back, I'll go ahead and do what you want me to do. 3 days he was dead in that fish's belly. I don't know how he got him over there, but he spit him out on the shore. Okay? And he said, it's going to be like Nineveh. And when Jonah hit the ground preaching, that whole place repented. And what did Jonah do after they repented? Sat down and griped to God about them being saved. And here we have the same type of mindset right here with these people. I won't give you any sign except the sign of Jonah. All right there is where we're going to start next week. 16 and verse number 5, isn't it? 16 and verse 5.
You know, Jim,
Yes.
the Bible says that the fish fishing down into the abyss. Pressure was crusty, his eyes were bulged out. Fish spit him up on the shore. I would imagine.
He was rough looking. He was rough looking flesh, wasn't he? Well, I'm going to tell you something. When they got through beating Jesus up and crucifying him, he didn't look very good either. But do you know something? He looked so different and so marred that Mary didn't even recognize him when she saw him. Because Jesus is going to wear those scars of the cross into eternity. We're going to be all right. We're going to have new bodies, but Jesus is going to have that body with holes in it and with the whip marks on him. Brother Rex. That we can recognize? Well, I think we'll recognize him. Yeah, I think we'll recognize him. I'm looking for him. I'm looking for him. Well, thank you for enduring those hard seats, and we'll get back into it. Do you have any other questions? No, all right. We'll recognize him. Because when we see him, we're going to see him as he is. Because we're going to have brand new eyes that really see. That have the spiritual discernment. These people right there never had any spiritual discernment at all. Brother David, are you ready? All right. Remember, we're taking up the offering for the Solomon Islands. If you've got an offering for them today, give that to Marilyn, and we'll get it off to them. All right. Thanks, Brother David.
Okay, on our prayer list today,